All right. Basically, what I'm going to get into is how I think Fortnite esports could work. This could definitely be applied to battle royales across the board. But Fortnite's just going to kind of what I'm going to stick with, just because that's kind of what I familiarize myself with, and I'm not familiar with battle royales really in general, especially to the degree that I probably should be to do something like this. But very basic knowledge. Gonna apply this to Fortnite. Could be applied to others, but it's a fix in general. So basically, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the current setup. Not really going to talk about it much, and then I'm going to talk about my setup and the implications of that, how that would work, all the things like that. So right now, in its current setup, you have 3 different tiers. You have the Open League, you have the Contender League, you have the Champion League. Open League, low-tier competition, guys don't play for anything, guys that want to have fun but still want to compete, that's where they play. Contender League, mid-tier competition, guys probably playing for small prizes, probably not playing for much, playing competition, decent at the game, not great at the game. Champion League, great players, pros, top-tier players, all of your top percenters. The way that works now is, to my understanding, they get to the Champion League, which means they have a chance to qualify. So they are able to play in the qualifiers on Saturday. If they place in like the top 150, they're able to play on Sunday for money, and depending on their placing on Sundays, they're either eligible or ineligible to participate in the Fortnite World Cup Finals, where they're guaranteed, I think, 50 grand, and they're able to play for more. So it's a pretty good setup now, but it can definitely be way better. And especially in the sense that it cannot be this, chasing one thing. They're chasing this one Fortnite World Cup. We can kind of spread the wealth across multiple things. So going into my setup, and there's a lot of info here, but I'll break it down. So we're going to start at the bottom, and basically what we do is we take the Open League, we take this Open League right here, and we would make it your competitive ladder. And a lot of the comparisons I'm going to draw are going to be to Overwatch, mainly, 1, because that's what I know, and 2, because that has a pretty good setup, and a comparable setup to kind of what I've set up here. So a lot of the things I bring up and compare it to are going to be Overwatch, just because, like I said, that's kind of what I know, and it's what I'm familiar with, and it's what works. So the competitive ladder here, we're going to expand. We're going to expand and set up, because right now, this arena that you're looking at is the competitive ladder for Fortnite. We're going to expand this, tenfold. Add bronze, silver, add wood division, add platinum, add gold, add everything. Make it more diverse, make it harder to play in, add more people. So we're going to add more tiers. We're going to make this more fun, means nothing in the long run, just like competitive and other game modes mean nothing in the long run besides playing for what you want, when you want, with your friends, whatever, however you want to play the game. So then we're going to take Contenders League, and we're going to turn that into our farm system, the path to pro system. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make these guys, give these guys a little bit higher of a platform than the guys who just sit at home and play on the competitive ladder. Because these guys are going to be coordinating to some degree more than the guys on the competitive ladder, so we're going to reward them a little bit more. So we're going to take your farm system, and we're going to have the 3 tiers, and these aren't, the end-all be-all, but it's kind of the ones I came up with. So we're going to take high school, collegiate, and contenders. High school is exactly what it sounds. Collegiate is exactly what it sounds. Contenders is basically your AA baseball of Fortnite. So these are going to be your semi-pros. These are going to be professional organizations still signing duos, paying them way less because they're AA. Like I said, they're semi-pro players. They're your G League players. They're your AA players. They are your Overwatch contenders players. They are your LCS Academy players. These are your semi-pro guys. Your, whatever terminology you want to use for them. So we're going to make these guys, and in my world, and in my perfect world here, all of these guys are going to be playing in a season similar to football, baseball, basketball, where we're going to go, August to February, regular season playoffs, the whole big thing. So we're going to take high school, and high school is going to play in their own tournament. We're going to take collegiate and contenders. They're all going to play in their own tournaments against each other. High school against high school, collegiate against collegiate, contenders versus contenders. They're all going to play their regular seasons weekly. So they're going to play their regular seasons Monday through Friday, day to be determined by an expert that knows these things, because I don't. So at the end of each week, that's going to leave the weekend. So what happens on the weekend? At the end of each week, we're going to have, top performers for high school, collegiate, contenders. What do those top performers do? They play with the pros on Saturdays and Sundays. So Saturdays and Sundays, we have 25 professional duos, so 50 players, competing in their regular season. So those 25 professionals make up 50 players, like I said, and we need to fill those other 50 spots to have 100 people in a Battle Royale game. So we're going to go down here. Or no, we're going to stay up here. We're going to take 5 duos from high school. We're going to take 8 duos from collegiate, and we're going to take 12 duos from contenders weekly. So the top 5 performing based off of just the point system performance, just like it is now, We're going to take weekly 5 best duos, 8 best duos, 12 best duos to play with professionals during the professionals' regular season games. Keeping in mind letting the community play with the professionals kind of like it is now. So what do they gain from this? They essentially gain exposure because the kid in high school that kills Tfue during Tfue's regular season match is going to be getting a lot of followers. People are going to want to know who he is. Was it a fluke? Is this guy good? Should we sign a contract? Stuff like that. They're going to get exposure. One, they're going to get professional development. Two, because they're going to be playing against professionals. So the guys that play against Ninja on a regular basis are going to be better than the guys who aren't playing Ninja on a regular basis. So just inherent the way it goes. So these guys these top performing players are going to have the opportunity to become even more to play with top performing players in their own right. So that's going to, like I said, basically these guys during the week, once they play on the weekend with these pros, they're not going to gain any money. They're not going to play for anything. The professional standings are going to be strictly professional, and their standings will carry over into what will become the professional playoffs. So before we get into the farm system playoffs, we can talk about the professional playoffs because how the professional playoffs are structured ties into how the farm system is structured. So the professional playoffs will take 16 of the top 25 teams, or 16 of the 25 teams. And that is, let me pull that up here. So these are just, the top performing organizations of Fortnite right now. So I just went ahead and crossed out, the bottom 9. The bottom 9. Meaning we have 32 professional players now playing in the professional Fortnite playoffs. How do we fill those other spots in the game? We go down here and we pull people from these spots here. We pull people from here to compete with the pros in a playoff that we're going to call the finals for money, where all of these people are competing for money, kind of like it is now, where all the people can compete for their shot at the big money. And one of the big arguments for that would be, well, why are the pros competing with other people for the professional prize? Well, if the professionals are getting beat by non-professionals, maybe the professionals should give it up. That's my end argument for that. So moving past that, who gets into playoffs and how? So I'm just going to start at the biggest number and then go down the list. We're going to start at contenders. So the top 12 teams from contenders, the top 12, because, again, assuming that we have 25 professional teams, we're going to have at least 12 contenders teams. Again, these numbers can change, but this is just kind of what we came up with. So we're going to take the top 12 teams from contenders after they play their playoffs. So I'm hoping, in my perfect world, they're going to wrap up their playoffs they're going to wrap up their entire seasons. The farm system is going to wrap up their entire season as the pros finish their regular season so that they all can go into this professional playoffs. So all of these guys are playing at the same time, February through December. And we're going to take the top 12 teams from contenders. We're going to take the top 8 teams from collegiate. And we're going to take the top 4 teams from high school first. We're going to take those guys first, leaving us 20 human spots to fill, 10 duo spots to fill for the playoffs. So after that, we're going to take the top 10 duos from the competitive ladder, from the public, open to anybody in the world, competitive ladder, and we're going to place them in the professional playoffs where they have a chance to play for this, let's say, $1 million. And that kind of wraps up where it ends. And so basically you play it out, whatever, like I said, I don't really know the ins and outs of Fortnite. So however a tournament would go in that format, it would go. So at the end of it all, you either have your pros that win, you have your contenders that win, you have your collegiate that wins, high school, or random guys from the competitive ladder. I think it would make for a better viewing experience. I think it would make for it would give Fortnite more longevity in the esports scene. I think this is better for organizations because it provides a little bit more stability, because leagues kind of provide more stability. I know players might get screwed over in the long run because of the stability of leagues and organizations, but I feel like this is the best way for stability for everybody, especially in esports, especially for battle royales. And it might be too late to do this, but this is just kind of an idea I'm throwing out there. Not really, like I said, I don't really plan on carrying any of this out, reaching out to anybody, just kind of throwing the idea out there. Had an idea with some of my friends. So that's basically it. Yeah,